The world will be celebrating Women's Day. So is there anything to celebrate about, especially here in the country, when matters gender, women feel it's not being taken care of by the government? You know, the two-thirds gender rule that has always been a thorn in the flesh for female members of parliament, because they feel like the male counterparts and the government is not committed in ensuring that the gender bill is passed so as to ensure that there is equal representation of women in politics. To talk to us about Women Matters ahead of the International Women's Day, I have with me Florence Machio, who's from the Equal Now. Thank you so much for Equality Now. Sorry for that, Equality Now. Thank you so much, Florence Machio, for joining us, and also Catherine Omanyo, who's a gender activist. Ladies, you look lovely.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. You look like you're ready to celebrate Women's Day.
LSK.
Kabisa. So now, let me start with you, Catherine. When you talk about Women's Day, is there anything to celebrate about women, and especially in Kenya?
We still have so much ebbs and flows, because up to date, as a woman, I hate being called marginalized, those description or definitions they give women, because I still think women in Kenya should have been given what they want immediately, not like it looks like we are begging, we are desperate. It's like we are foreigners in this country. Other people go and get their rights, but women are still, they use words like progressive. We got a constitution in 2010, and that should have just happened right away. Mm-hmm. If MPs or senators are really, truly good leaders in this nation, they would have disbanded their institutions and rallied for two-thirds gender rule. In fact, I'm not thinking of two-thirds. It should be 50-50, because women do a lot without even being forced, and we are the backbone of this nation. When people say if the constitution is to be followed, then Kenya will go bankrupt. Women are not a baggage to begin with. So somehow I feel like women have to do 3 times, 4 times like begging for their rights for anybody to listen. But the problem is they have put a leopard to decide whether the goat is guilty or not. And the leopard will always eat the goat. So that's how we look like we are empowered. Yes, we look like we have gone to school, but somehow when it comes to jobs, it's a tall order. Yeah.
Okay, so if I bring in you, Florence, this year's theme is each for equal.
Yes.
The theme for 2020.
Yeah.
Are we really leaving that theme for 2020, each for equal?
The fact that we have this theme, it means we are not. It means we want to achieve it. It also means that we have yet to achieve a gender equal government. If you just look at our government, it is not equal. We have yet to achieve a gender equal media coverage. Most of the time you call us when we have 16 days, when we have International Women's Day, when we have zero tolerance for FGM. Yeah. That is when you will call us. But when you see lots of panels in media houses, you'll find it is a manel. We like to call them manels because you find all men, and maybe the interviewer is female. We have yet to achieve gender equal workplaces. We have yet to see sexual harassment policies in our different institutions, including governments. Not all of them have sexual harassment policy. We saw the other day the Protection Against Domestic Violence Act, the removal of marital rape as a crime, and yet we know for a fact that there is marital rape. Wow. So yes, each for equal, yes, but it's also, for me, it is a drive towards each one of us as individuals, making sure that we challenge stereotypes, we challenge biases wherever we are, so that then we achieve equality for all of us. Yes.
But when you talk about each for equal, yes, Florence, you're painting a picture of we are yet to go there.
Yes.
But then there has been an argument that it looks like women want things on a silver platter. Like, we'll just give it to you. You need to fight for it.
Actually, men got it on a silver platter. Because of patriarchy, the way society is built is that certain things were a privilege to the men. Let me take you back to history. If you go back to Nairobi University and you go back to archives, the engineering department did not have female toilets. They never envisioned that women or girls will do engineering courses. If we look at our parliament, Just a few years ago, women were not even allowed to have handbags. What does that mean? It meant that women were never envisioned to be parliamentarians. So certain conversations, for men, for me, it's the fact that it was handed over to you. When a family was told to choose between a girl going to school and a boy, it was automatic. It was a no-brainer. The boy will go to school. So this conversation that women want things on a silver platter is not true. Men have it on a silver platter.
The reason as to why I used that statement, it's because when you look at the two-thirds gender rule, that has been the argument on the floor of the House, especially the National Assembly. And they say that should that gender rule be given, it means that women will not be willing to go out there to seek for votes, yet they just want to be given nominated, you know.
Yeah, I know they've always said that, but women offer. I go for member of parliament position 3 times. I have witnessed. It's like climbing a hyena. They make sure, because women don't plan violence, we don't go to fight like physically. What they do is to choreograph an environment that is not conducive for any woman to even go for any male-dominated, fields. So the fighting and sometimes they even write you letters like, we are coming to rape you unless you step down, you know. So they are saying we want things for free, but it's not. I witness women fight. And they cry at night, wipe their tears in the morning, and put a big smile and still carry on. We are used to actually recovering just like that, because like before there, I wanted to add on what she said. Men have been already advantaged. I remember before my late dad passed on, he sat and gave the land, portions of land, to just the boys. But as girls, we were convinced that our husbands will take care of us. So already a man, somebody has run some miles ahead of them, like 3,000 miles ahead of them, and just passed the baton. A plot, maybe a house. You take over 10 pieces of acres. A woman, you are still on negative 3,000. Unfortunately, in this world of today, if we leave women behind to keep on doing what we have been doing, the country will not progress. They'd rather we hold hands. In fact, if we say we should be equal, it does not mean we are undermining a male person. We only want to progress together. Because in class, I would beat boys in physics, and I would beat boys in maths. That means if the field is leveled, there is nothing that a woman can't do. And somebody somewhere who is a sexist knows that a woman should just be in the kitchen, fetch water, take care of kids, and not in class also, like, getting courses like engineering courses.
But then when we talk about women agenda, our male counterparts feel like we have talked about women's rights, children's rights, the girl child, yet the boy child is being left behind.
He's not being left behind. He has been ahead. Okay. If he chooses to slow down, then that is his problem.
Let me listen to what Florence wants.
I think that's a narrative that is always thrown to take us back. I always say I'm a mother of 2 boys. And it does not take away my fight for women's rights or girls' rights, does not take away from what the boys have. What we are saying, let there be an equal level playing ground. The boys are already ahead. They already started the marathon a day ago. The girl is starting today. If I can do anything for this girl to get there and therefore compete on an equal footing, then we will be in a good place. Equal rights for both men and women just is very good for business. If we have the same brains, if we are sitting on a board on an equal share, men and women, the ideas we have and the ideas men have brought together then advances businesses. Last year during ICPD plus 25, I had the privilege of getting into a session where it was talking about equal rights, women rights are good for business. And we had this CEO from a bank, a local bank here, saying the highest defaulters in his bank are actually men. And the highest the highest people who repay back loans are women. And therefore women women's rights is good for business. When we get to Parliament, the first time we had sanitary towels being allocated a budget was when we had more women in Parliament. I do not expect a man to sit in Parliament and think about my sanitary towels because he doesn't experience that. So all we are saying, we need women in the same in the same space where men are, because this society is not made up of men.
So do you think men fear women, empowered women?
Really
women being empowered?
I think it's just the lack of knowledge of the fact that this woman actually brings in something on the table. That entitlement that men have, and the patriarchy has trained us as a society, whether we are men or women, to think, even when I go to a boardroom meeting, I remember going to one boardroom meeting, and the men waiting for me to serve them tea. We were only 2 women. And seriously, we're here on an equal footing. Why the hell should I go and serve you tea when we are all here because of all our strengths? So it's just a matter of accepting. And I know patriarchy fights back. I know when you've been privileged, when that little thing that you already got effortlessly is being taken away from you, you start fighting back. So it's a fight they will have to learn to understand that women are supposed to be on the table.
All right.
Yes.
And you know, let me rope you in. Let's look at the leadership of the country, especially women. Do you think women in Parliament have fully echoed women issues, especially when it comes to gender representation and employment or appointments in the public sector?
A few try, but majority have gone into a comfort zone, which is a very unfortunate thing, because the fight for equality should never stop. If you feel comfortable, that you should always, as a leader, create a path for another one. Unfortunately, there are women who went in the first time under the constitution of marginalization as women representatives. My definition meant that once you are empowered first round as a women rep, you do not go back again as a women rep. You go, and now because you are empowered, go on the male-dominated seats. But unfortunately, they rewinded that and did not create a vacancy for that, because at the end of the day, women must just keep fighting to add their numbers there. So some of them are comfortable. They can't see that tomorrow they might be out of that. And if they created some ways of how to continue adding numbers, they will then come back. But a few, like Millie Odhiambo, let me not even mention, are really trying. What most leaders do is they wait for something to happen, then start shouting. That means they are visionless. Somebody with a vision will not wait to cure, but prevent. So if all of them were on strike and said 2/3 gender rule in this parliament must be realized, and walked out and never came back there, or just say this parliament should be disbanded until we realize that, then at least I could have said they mean business.
So Florence,
I want to differ around the women representatives. First of all, you do realize, and you really clearly mention, that we start off on an unequal footing, especially when we are campaigning. And I've seen some women, even when they're running for the seats that the party thinks the party will definitely win, they tell you, oh, don't worry, we'll give you the women rep seat. So then you lose out on a situation where we'd have more numbers. So the ground is uneven for women when they're fighting for those for positions. And when it came to women's reps position, it was easy for parties to say, we will give you the women's rep position, which then makes us fewer in parliament. But then when we are fewer in parliament, you know for a fact we will not be able to move.
My question is whether a woman has has been elected as a member of parliament, an MP representing a constituency, or as a woman representing a county. My major question here is, do they really stand for the rights of women and fight for women in parliament? Because there's some women leaders in parliament when you even question their character.
Now, if you judge women like that, then you will miss something. First of all, patriarchy is perpetuated by both men and women. The society we grow in teaches us certain ways. So the fact that you've been elected a leader and you're female does not mean that you're not a perpetuator of patriarchy. It takes, and she will tell you that, Catherine will tell you that it has taken time for us to get to where we are in terms of understanding gender, understanding stereotypes, and understanding patriarchy. So if you don't understand it, you will judge them on a very different lens. It's assumed that when I'm a woman, I should be able to fight for women's rights. But also you should remember my socialization could be different from yours. We have men in parliament since 1963. What have we seen that they've done? We have only have the 2010 constitution is the one that has given us a few more women, and now we can see we have more women. And I'd rather we judge our women after some period of time. First of all, we never had the sanitary towel allocation until women became more in parliament. This would never have happened if we had a male-dominated parliament. I want us to be judging our leaders based on the fact that how long have they been there as leaders? What have they given us? What have we seen? What did they commit to doing? So if we judge them all like that, both men and women, then we'll be fine. The other day, I was very fascinated by a conversation in Parliament that men MPs wanted to go to CSW. I mean, this is the status for women. Why do men MPs want to go to New York?
No,
for
I think it's right.
No, wait a minute.
Yeah.
This is about actually just women interrogating their gains, and we're looking at Beijing plus 2.5. So for me, it's a matter of let's look at our leaders on an equal footing.
All right, Catherine.
Not as women and men.
Okay.
Yeah.
For us to win, we must tag men along. If you want to lead, you must come up with feminists first, male or women, and then now go in and penetrate to these who are badly socialized men and try to show them, like this, somebody who's very close to me, who was telling me, I'll never vote for a woman, never. But now he has a daughter, beautiful girl, bright. So I used the daughter's example and said, imagine if your daughter came to you and said, Daddy, I want to be a governor. What will you say? You can't kill that dream. You should start looking at it that way. And you love your mother.
But then,
really
Catherine,
dearly.
as much as you're saying that, because I tend to agree with what Florence is saying, as much as you're saying that we need to tag men along so as to win the women agenda, that is the same thing female members of parliament tried when passing the 2/3 gender rule, when they wanted it to be passed. Yeah. They even hosted a dinner for the men. But at the end of the day, some of the men even didn't appear on the floor of the House to actually vote for that bill.
And those badly socialized men are the ones you even see in public abusing a woman, and they think it's normal, and others clapping for them. But as we continue sharing a table, what I hate is a woman being on the menu only. But if we share the table on and on, most of men come to realize, actually, upstairs we are also at par, and we can negotiate and bargain for something and gain together, which is better than also just remaining on your grandfather's foot. Those days, it used to be like this, it used to be like that. So whether they like it or not, I think let us also encourage more men on the table with us, even attending CSW. Let them come and they learn something from it and come back and share with the rest while they are sharing.
I was about to make a joke, like it's like women trying to go for the men's conference.
Yeah. We will use all methods to win.
But listen, Brenda, the same men who wanted to go to CSW, when it came to the voting for the 2/3 gender rule, they were not there. They were the ones opposing. So for me, if you are opposing what is good for the women in your country, what are you going to say when you get to CSW? What are you going to say you're accountable for? Because this is the time we are saying country A has done this, has made progress this way. We are lagging behind here because of this particular challenge. That is what you're supposed to be saying. But you had the opportunity,
Brenda,
and you did nothing.
They go there.
Florence and Catherine, this conversation cannot end. But as we wind up, I'll give you a minute each. And when you respond to my question with your final sentiments, Florence, we have seen women being tagged as we're our own enemies. And when a woman wants to vie for a presidential seat, how come women never tag along to go vote for a woman as a presidential, as a president of the Republic of Kenya?
So you're saying, why doesn't a woman...
how come women don't support their own for their top seat?
The way our elections are, the way our election system is that, first of all, we have parties, number one. Then we have tribes. Number two, then women will come, behind
Number
them.
three.
So when we have parties, it will be voting for the party that is most popular or the party that Kenyans feel is the one. That is a fact. Number 2, tribe. And then number 3, so tell me how how a woman will be voted in. And then also I want us to also understand that the issue of violence against women during election is a real thing. And then there's a narrative that is created and an environment that is created during elections that makes women even fear going to vote, women running for positions. If we don't change the system from the party level, where there is no violence at the party level, where you know as a party this candidate is a strong candidate, and therefore we are backing her up for the presidential seat, we are the most popular party, and we're choosing a woman to lead us, then you will find a woman president in this country.
All right, Catherine.
Yes. I say yes, there are women who are also a problem because they believe in male leadership, period. 2, I have been running consecutively for Member of Parliament seat, and the problem women have is financial issues. They do not, and sometimes you have to ask permission for your husband, your brother-in-laws, or else as you just start running, then you face divorce. There are so many obstructions that come, and if you are married in another clan and you are trying to vie where you were married again, they tell you go to where, there are so many obstructions that people just don't dig in. But I've faced all that, and I still just say any woman who has ever vied, kudos.
She's a strong woman.
Kudos, a big one. So we are not begging, but we are demanding for our rights.
All right.
Because Rwanda cannot come behind us and pass us with over 50% representation.
All right.
Yeah, and Kenya is still lacking.
That jingle means I need to wind up, ladies.
Yes. Yeah, a gender equal government is what we want.
Okay, okay. Thank you so much, Florence Mashir from Equality Now, and also Catherine Omanyo, who's a gender activist. Women, allow me to tell you Happy Women's Day.
Thank you.
Mapema sana.
Last year I said when I was here, you should be bringing roses and...
All right. Roses, let me tell you, Standard Group, we give roses, by the way. They really take care of women. Yeah. They really mind women
I like
affairs.
the fact that you're starting a lactation room at I&M.
We have.
Kudos to you guys.
We already have one here. We are starting
good.
one at I&M.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, women, for joining us here on KTN News Center.